Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. Today's pick a card reading is determinately and unashamedly Arthurian in nature. So this is all about the wisdom of Avalon, wisdom of Camelot, all the sort of beautiful legends that come from the Arthurian canon, so to speak. And you don't have to come from that background for this to have messages for you, because in broad terms a lot of the themes that are covered in Arthurian legend are covered in other cultural backgrounds in different ways. So but really getting to the heart of it, the Arthurian legends are about an ideal for rulership, an ideal for leadership, an ideal for society, the combination of magic and mystery with the day-to-day life, the quest for purity, the quest to heal the land, all of those sort of things mixed in with the very human nature that we all have, and how that is sort of impacted with personal relationships, personal drives and ambitions and so forth. So I think it is a reason that it is so powerful metaphorically as well as sort of magically and archetypally as well. So I really wanted to do a reading that picked up that energy and looked at what the wisdom from Avalon would be for you. So what we're looking for is what messages the various characters and energies from that mythology have for you, what you may need to know, what you may need to understand about yourself, what might be going on in a particular situation. It will just depend upon what comes through in each reading. So I'm going to start with looking with this Mists of Avalon deck, some of the sort of characters or energies or themes that could be involved, and with a few other oracle cards that I think will help give a picture of the sort of area that the wisdom of Avalon is coming for you in this particular reading. And then we will use a tarot, the Lost Tarot, that to me has very Arthurian looking imagery, to look at what sort of messages are involved in this and how your magic and the magic of Avalon can combine for your greatest good. Then we'll look at some Celtic energy, some energy from the wild world in other ways, and sort of finish off looking at your magical skills. So it's a very magical reading. It's all about magic, but also within the real world. And as I say, I think that's one of the strengths of the Arthurian legends, is that we have very identifiable, understandable human stories within this magical sort of culture and magical sort of land. So hopefully that's of interest to you. I'm just going to put down the numbers for the piles for each reading, so that for those who like to choose by the numbers. Before I go into that, just want to note, in terms of magic and all things sort of mystic, there are personal readings available now if you would like to get a reading from me. There's never any pressure or any expectation, but if you do want to, the details for getting that through my Etsy shop are in the description box below and on the About page of my channel. So that's available if you would like. That's the only way you can get it. Don't ever fall for scammers who are pretending to be me or any other tarot reader on YouTube. Make sure that you go to the source of wherever tarot readers are providing their services. And if you do come via the Etsy store, make sure to put your email in the personalization box so that it is easy for me to communicate with you and get you your reading. It's not always simple sometimes with Etsy, so it's just a matter of making sure. I just wanted to say that, as I say it occasionally, before getting into the choice. So, as I said, a lot of this is going to be based on a couple of decks that are connected to Avalon by the same artist and writer. So, and I've chosen 4 sort of characters or energies around the Avalon myths or the Arthurian legends that might help you choose. So for pile 1 we have the White Hart, for pile 2 we have Merlin, for pile 3 the Lady of the Lake, and for pile 4 Morgan Le Fay. There will be at least another couple from this deck and some other energies from Arthurian decks, plus some other magical or astrological energy to sort of give us a sense, as I say, about what the key themes are. But if you are drawn to one of these particular characters or that energy, that may help you choose. But beyond that, it doesn't have to be. It could be the image, it could be the number, or pause the video if you need to decide which reading or readings, go to more than one by all means if you want, that you want to go to. When you know which reading or readings you do feel drawn to, the timestamps as always are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome part 1 to your reading. So as you see, we have 3 cards from the Mists of Avalon Oracle, plus also 3 mini cards which have advice underneath them, which I'll read before moving to the tarot part after I've done the overview of this, to pick up the very direct Arthurian energy. Then I've also got stuff from the Fae, from a compendium of witches, so a sense of sort of magic energy, and also a bit of astrology. So there's 2 things that jump out. Well, there's one thing that's true of all of it. There are many cards here that talk about a new beginning. So whether it is with the Stardust card, which is a sort of premonition, a sense of something new coming in, when you're not seeing what is the nature or the shape of it yet, whether it's the White Hart, which is the god of the wild hunt, so something new, a new energy, a new opportunity coming in, that's there as well. The sense of the Abbey is finding the new and the pathway and what is sort of emotionally resonant to you and so forth. And even here, the king of the fairy world, in a sense, that sense of momentum. There is something new coming in. For people who've come to this reading, the Arthurian Avalon magic is telling you you are on the precipice of something new, and that it is very important to go within inner wisdom, psychic inner wisdom, and also listen carefully to the environment that you're in with the listener here. There is a sense of not acting before you have enough information, because this is very new. This is something coming in that is extraordinary probably, and maybe will remind you of certain things or connect to things in the past, but is nevertheless different. There are 2 ways that this is potentially playing out from what I can tell. One may be that this is around a relationship, because we have Guinevere. So Guinevere's story is famous. She is the wife of Arthur, but she also then fell in love with Lancelot. So there is a story of what the sort of connection of passion and love is and the impact on others. So there is a possibility, particularly with a grand trine energy, of being in a situation where there is a third party in some way. This does not mean you are doing anything wrong. This is how you follow your heart and you know what to do in that situation. It may also be a complication in the situation that you're going to have to clarify and work through and deal with using those listening powers. So, and with Venus here, it does suggest love. Love, beauty, how you are seen, how you draw people to you has something to do with this. There is a new opportunity. That is one way of looking at it. The other way is that rather than being the person who is in this love relationship, you may in fact be the wise counsel to somebody who is in this scenario. So you could be someone who literally works in therapy or something like that and helps people understand the new and navigate it in some way, get the sort of ancient wisdom, listening to what they say, all of that thing, bringing it into harmony so that it can be managed and understood. With the Wizard card here, this is about wisdom. It has a sort of Merlin-esque feeling to it. So although the Merlin card didn't come up, there is a sort of feeling about that as well too. So it may be, depending upon what you do in your career or what role you have with friends or family, what age you are, all those things, you are either about to embark on a new relationship that is profound, I think, deep love connected with it, mythic, iconic love potentially connected with it, very passionate, but also new in some way, different, and possibly involving needing wisdom and listening so that you can navigate what might be a complex situation because of potentially a third party or even the past that you're dealing with and the past that maybe your new partner is dealing with. Or as I say, this wisdom is coming to you because you are meant to guide someone else and give them wisdom in a situation like this. So it could be one or other. It could be both. You could be experiencing it at the same time as you're helping somebody with it. But there's something about the rule of 3 associated with this, with a grand trine. There is an ease energy to it, but it may well also be a bit too easy for it to get complicated. So that's the thing to think about, particularly with Guinevere. So there is definitely a sense of what is the wise way of dealing with passion and love, and if there is more than one person involved. And it's interesting that we have 2 other characters here as well as Guinevere, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a man and 2 women. That doesn't necessarily mean that, but it's again gives me a sense of 3 as being important in some way. I am actually, again, this is very specific. I've just got that it could be that if you are in some sort of therapeutic role, or you are doing something in a group or whatever, there may be 3 of you involved in doing it, bringing in this new thing. So it may be something new that you're all passionate about and you love. And in that case, there is a sense of balance in it. But let's have a look, before we get more information about this from the tarot, let's have a look at what the advice is for these 3 cards. So this one says, let go of outcomes. You will be released from the burden you carry. So if you are feeling that at the moment you are carrying the burden for someone where you're seeing some sort of love relationship or some other thing going on that you are trying to be wise with, you don't have to, you're not responsible for the outcome. The other person or the people involved are. You can give wise counsel, you can listen, you can support, you can help them, rein in some of the energy and bring it to a good outcome, but it's not your responsibility. If this is about a new love, then it will sort itself out one way or the other. You will have the wisdom, you will hear what to do. That will either be that you end up with the person or that you move on. But what you need to do at this point is be in the moment of it developing and listening and trying to bring harmony to the situation. Here with this card, it says, as light follows darkness, so day follows night. Be patient and wait for the right opportunity to create a new chapter in your life. So it's picking up this sense that there's something new, a new love, a new passion for something that you're doing, a new situation where you're helping someone where you don't yet have enough information. You've got a very strong psychic ability to pick this coming up. And when you know what it is with the white heart, you have that sort of energy to move forward quickly. But I feel like the Abbey here is operating as a kind of a place for solitude and contemplation and listening and maybe getting wise counsel. So I think it is definitely saying it will be easier than you expect and there will be a love energy around it, but you don't have to act instantly. Wait for more information. And then this card says, you are in alignment with your soul's longings. Make a move now. So maybe this is a time. Maybe we're seeing a time process here. Starting with letting go of outcomes, knowing that something new is coming in, whether precognitively or it really has started to happen in your life, whether it's a new love or whether it's resolving an old one, whatever it might be, you know that energy is there. The first step is to let go of outcomes and let it develop. Then it is to give yourself time to listen, watch, and then when you are in alignment, you can move forward because you will make the right decision there. Again, I'm going back to Guinevere because Guinevere, as I say, famously had a very difficult situation involved in terms of love because she did love Arthur as well as loving Lancelot. But in the end, that particular triangle had a huge impact on the Arthurian legends and so forth. So I just feel for you there's something important about this, whether it's important directly to you around a love relationship or whether it's that you have a sense of responsibility helping someone else deal with it. Either way, there is a kind of a process of allowing that it is going to be whatever it is going to be, contemplating it, and then moving and acting. So let's ask the tarot what more Avalon has to tell you about this, and then we're going to ask how your magic and Avalon's magic works to help you navigate this particular message. Okay, Queen of Cups makes me think of Guinevere. I have to say I feel that most of you are probably connected to that energy. Most of you, this is probably about love. So whether it's a love that's come in or whether it's one that you just feel, and it is going to be a bit complicated, I have to say, with Guinevere. But Guinevere with the Queen of Cups being sort of representing her as well too, very emotionally authentic. And it does look as though it comes when you have certain things established in your life. That could be materially, it could be an established relationship, and this is one that comes in that makes you have to question it. Doesn't necessarily mean you leave your established relationship, but I think there is a question around where your passion is and what you do and what you have to lose potentially, but also the emotional sort of gains that you have to win. It looks as though with the Six of Coins reversed, Temperance reversed, and Six of Cups reversed. I mean, it's interesting for a start that there's two sixes reversed here. There are other people involved in all of this. As I say, it could literally be a love triangle. It could be family and friends and their viewpoints and so forth. It's pulling it out of alignment. This is why you need some time in the Abbey to consider, and you need to listen very carefully to what's going on to work out what is useful information to you and what is white noise. So there's something around that. And possibly if you are not the wise counsel to others in this scenario, this is you as Guinevere, you dealing with a love triangle, or if it's not a triangle, dealing with love coming in and wondering how that's going to change your life and whether you're ready for it and so forth, then you need to find your own inner wizard. You need to have that time out to do it. So that's very important around this energy at the moment. If you are the wise counsel, if the Queen of Cups therefore is coming up more as the wizard, taking the emotional authenticity of the Queen of Cups, then you are established, you are known for what you do, but you are seeing amongst groups of people real problems. So I'm getting that this could be, because everything that came out of the Guinevere, Lancelot, Arthurian legend, that part of the legend triggered all the change, on a societal level within Camelot. There may be for some of you that this is something very key that is changing, that is going to really disrupt the sort of like the community that you're in, some of the long-standing established things, and bring a lot into imbalance, in which case your authenticity is going to help, and your capacity to take people through this careful journey where they don't act precipitously is important. Now, as I say, for most, I think because of Venus being here, Grand Trine, Guinevere, this is about love, but there are also other energies that could play out with these cards. So let's ask, what magic of yours and or of Avalon will help you navigate this? Because I think you really have a difficult, not difficult necessarily, but challenging sort of role here, whether it's in your own love and your own decisions or whether it's in guiding others. So let's see what magic energy you have and Avalon will send you to help you with this. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, you have a lot of magic for a start with the Magus there. And also, I think with the King of Cups, I'm feeling the King of Cups is like Arthur, and then the Queen of Cups is like Guinevere. So again, it's telling both stories. There are going to be some who are coming here that this is about love and working out who is the right person to love. And for others, it is about being Merlin, because we have the Magus. So on one hand, you may be Merlin. I'll go to that one first. If you are Merlin, if you are the one who is bringing the wise counsel, who can precognitively see what is coming, understand something new is coming in around a relationship in your sort of like social circle, family circle, or if you're, as I say, a therapist in your client base, or whether it's something more socially, sort of a political cause or something like that, then you know how to build the right material outcome. You've got the learning to do it. So I definitely feel this could pick up some people who are therapists, who have the qualifications to do it and have the business nous to do it. Like there is a sense of, you are not coming from just a magical sense that you have in your inner knowing. You've actually done the work and learnt what you needed to do. And you know when there are outcomes that need to be avoided. Like you can see through, you can see the consequences of things. So I often refer to the fact that I heard a high magician once saying that prophets, when we talk about a prophet, we're not talking about someone necessarily who is innately precognitive and that's all there is to it, though you definitely have that ability. Regardless of whichever way this works out, you have the power of precognition. But we're not, when we're talking about a prophet, just talking about that. We're talking about someone who understands history so they can see the patterns of things. So if you are coming across as a magus in whatever level this is, your own personal magic around helping somebody therapeutically, helping organisations or cultural groups or communities in sort of change and so forth, or helping people close to you who are in a complex relationship pattern, then you know what not to do. You know what not to do, and you are very emotionally to be relied on. If this is you coming up as someone, in a relationship, and as I say, there could be a third party, or there could just be a situation of is this the one? I think if it's is this the one, the answer is probably yes, because when we've got both the King and the Queen of Cups together, there is a beautiful connection there. So definitely there is a sort of a positive ascent from Avalon here around a relationship if it's uncomplicated on that level. And if the complications are more what you've gone through before and understanding how different this is, and it's a very positive sense. Yes, this can grow. This has a really solid foundation. It's not of the past, and a Merlin energy is around you to steer you either as a guide or as a friend or something like that. If there is a third party, then again, I think there is a Merlin energy around to work out what is the material outcome that is meant for this. Because one way or the other, if there's a third party, one will not be involved in it later. And I don't think it's you. I think it's more likely to be two people interested in you rather than the other way round. It feels like it's more in your hands to make this decision. And the thing may well be to find the real similarity. Queen of Cups and King of Cups together. We're not talking about gender here. I'm just talking about the sort of energies, like two watery energies, two emotionally resonant energies, and so forth. That's what's going on. And I think if that's the case, then Avalon is bringing you some advice, some magic from Merlin to make the right decision, so that it doesn't necessarily go the path that Guinevere went. So that's, I think, the two different ways that we could read this. I think that's the energy or the magic that's coming through. So given that, let's see what we can get in terms of some other type of wisdom for you. So we're going to start firstly with just some Celtic wisdom around this magic and energy coming through, because the Arthurian legends are very Celtic in nature. So we have the Green Man, nature, connection, source. So this is you being able to connect into what is natural, what is meant to be, what is the right growth pattern. It is always the case, and I mean, even when we look at the Arthurian legends, that it was necessary in a way for the full legend to work its way through for the Guinevere, Lancelot, Arthur issue to come up. So there is something in the nature of things. You connect to the nature of things, and understanding that. Certainly also getting out into nature, I think, would be helpful for you in either accessing the Merlin magic coming to you or in moving into your own inner Merlin, whichever it is. We also have the Green Fairy. Okay, so there's mischief, freedom, and reckless. The Green Fairy is famously connected to absinthe, the drink, sort of the sense of like, do we know what is real? Do we know what is true? And she can be a bit of a trickster, and she does want people to feel free and to be what they are. So a lot of the energy of the wild hunt and moving forward fits with her, but it is a case that it can be hard to know what is real. So I think this is definitely saying getting into nature and thinking, and also going to the abbey, so to speak, rather than just going with this sort of like the fun energy and the ease of it all, because she doesn't necessarily mean harm, but she could do harm or do mischief. Okay. And one more from the Celtic realms for you. The Green Woman is very much the Green Man and the Green Woman. This is, I do think for most of you, I have to say, this is about love. I mean, some of you it will be about, some sort of job or politics or something, but you are either there is a Green Man and a Green Woman around you, you are helping them without... And blocking what might be mischievous energy around it so that they have a clarity. So as I say, you're being Merlin, bringing that wise counsel to it. Or you are part of a very significant relationship. One is coming in, or you are now in one and you're trying to work your way through it. And there is the risk of mischief in the middle of it from other parties, I would say. It could be another person who's interested in the person you're involved with, or another person who's interested in you. Or it could be just other people, like friends, family and everything, kind of like getting involved when they shouldn't. But there's such a strong sense around this that it's a good connection. Like I think ultimately it's a good connection and it will work out. I think, you've got the Green Man and the Green Woman. We've got the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So even though, as I say, Guinevere might make one sort of go, oh, could that sort of end up in an issue? And even though I think for some of you there may be a bit of a love triangle at first, I think that there really is a lot to be said for this, but you need to be listening to wise counsel and listening carefully, not just recklessly running into it until you're a bit more sure, I think, is the message here. Okay, so let's also see what the wild world can give. We'll get some animal totems, and then also a deck I have that has dragon butterflies, which I think that feel kind of Arthurian as well to me. So firstly, and this really fits with you because there's a lot about nature for you, let's have a look at a couple of animal totems to help you access the wisdom of Avalon. So we have snake, creation. So there's something that you're creating, something new coming in. Snake's also about wisdom again. I think it's, you know, connecting to this Merlin energy, connecting to Gnosis, all that kind of thing as well. And moving into something new, shedding your skin. This is bringing in something new. If one of your issues around relationships is they haven't worked before, and so you're not sure about this one when it comes through, you're shedding the skin of the past. This is something very new. Okay. And sea otter, transformation. Yeah, snake and transformation, like snake sort of like creating and transforming. This is very new. This is said it right from the beginning. It's very new. It's not something you're used to. If you haven't been in a relationship for a while, one's coming in. That is a very good one, but it may kind of knock your socks off and seem very different, and you might just take your time. There may, as I say, be another party involved that has to work its way out. If this is about you becoming your inner Merlin and helping others, then by the time you've actually sorted through this issue, then you will have totally transformed. Okay, let's see what the dragon butterflies have to tell you. Protection. Okay, so you have protection around you. So you have the protection of Merlin. If you were going through the relationship, that's really the key thing, I think, that Avalon is bringing to you. Or you are taking on a protective element, and you will be protected as well as a result of that. And love. Oh, yeah. I do think most of you, this is about love. I really do. I mean, there is a way of reading this that is about guiding others in love and being protective of others in love, definitely. So if that resonates, that would also be true of the energy that's coming through and what Avalon is bringing to you. But for most, this is about a great love, I think. So that's kind of exciting. So let's have a look at some of your magic that you bring to this. So we're going to start firstly with divination, like the kind of divination that you could do, which will fit very much with you because of that energy of almost precognition. Then I'm going to use the magic of you for both light and shadow, and we have a final message with the magic and mediums deck about skills, rituals, processes, or whatever that could help you access this wisdom. So firstly, divination energy for you to access the wisdom of Avalon. Wishbone, affirmation. So I think this is basically partly just Spirit trying to say, yes, you've already really accessed it. You don't need much divination to access it. You've already got the precognitive ability, but there is something coming, I think, that will be like synchronistic, that will show you. You will get the affirmation. You will know that it's the case. I'm getting for some of you literally sometime after seeing this reading, completely synchronistically, you're going to see something about Arthurian legends or something. There's going to be something, or something about Guinevere, or something about the green man and the green woman. There's something coming that will give you that signpost. And then we also have coins, abundance. So there is about abundance, this is about growth. There is also, I think, something about the kind of the king and queen together, the green woman and the green man together, that will bring in abundance as well. And you will start to sort of see, yes, this was meant to be, because we are like a power couple or something like that. In fact, this does have a fairly strong feeling of something like a power couple. So let's have a look at both potentially shadow and light energy around magic that you have. And as I say, we'll finish up with a card around a ritual or practice or approach that could help. But firstly, light or dark, and I don't mean dark as in evil, but like light and shadow magic, that energies that will help you access the wisdom of Avalon. Flash over, it's all in your head. So, okay, if you feel, and this is why things like perspective are important coming up with the white heart, and why you need to sort of like go into the abbey and get that connectedness. You may sometimes think, I'm just imagining all of this. I'm just imagining I'm Merlin. I'm just imagining Merlin's with me. Like, you know, this can't be true. This love is too simple and easy, whatever it might be. Just turn the brain off for a bit, because you're kind of getting in the way of your own magic coming through. And resilience. Burn away the past. Yeah, so many of you, there's something, you know, this maybe love has not worked out before, love hasn't been a great one, and so forth. This is why you kind of don't trust it. But part of this is like the snake shedding its skin, as I say, and going through the transformation with sea otter. Burn away the past, bring the new in. Okay, so to finish off, as I say, I'm just going to draw a card from the Magic and Mediums Oracle. So this is also to help access the inner Magus, the inner Merlin, in whatever scenario this does, to bring and manifest through the abundance, the love, and so forth that is promised from this reading. Activation. Okay. All you really need to do is activate your own ability. You're going to get the messages. You're going to know psychically. If you meet the person, you haven't met them yet, you're going to know instantly if it's the loved one. If you are meant to help a group, or or people going through therapy or something, you just activate your knowledge, your inner knowing, and everything will come into being around it. You will do what you're meant to do. That's why we had the trine as well. Ultimately, this isn't that hard. Part one, it might sort of, you might think with Guinevere, oh, it could be, but I think this is actually saying that's just to really pick up the really strong sort of feminine energy along with the masculine energies. And I say that's not about gender, it's about the sort of divine masculine, divine feminine, sort of spiritually. That's what that was pointing to. And I think this is saying that you'll go through this process in whatever way this works a lot easier than you think. You just have to activate your own inner magic because it's all there. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope that the Magic of Avalon has brought you some messages that are helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, as I always say, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So we have 3 cards from the Mists of Avalon deck. We have the mini Wisdom of Avalon deck as well, with some images that also have advice sitting under them, which I'll look at before we move to the tarot part of the reading. Then I've got some fae energy, some astrology, and some sort of spiritual witchy energy, because I thought the combination will pick up the true magic of Avalon and Camelot and that sort of thing for this reading, which is what we're trying to access. And first thing that I would say is, if you were drawn to this because of Merlin, because you have a sense of being connected to magic, alchemy, the spiritual, ancient knowledge, you're not wrong. Like, this is definitely part of this for you. It's very much connected to learning that you have probably from this life and other lives, either bringing that back into being and sort of resurrecting it, or even studying deeper and so forth. There's definitely something around that with Merlin. But Merlin is also about being ready to take on something new and to bring that wisdom to help birth something new. And this is interesting because we also have the Camelot card, and this card talks about things like honor, ideals, all of that kind of thing, aspiration. But it also talks about the difference, or that almost that heartbeat moment between what could be and what is realized. So there's a kind of a combination here of having that sort of sense of wisdom to try and birth something new that is right, and to be able to do it without yet having the full blueprint, not knowing exactly how much magic can be brought to bear to a situation, how much honor, how much perfection in a world that is, in the 3D world, which is not as magical as Camelot, and yet somehow trying to bring Camelot in. And I think that then connects to the Sacred Union card here around vitality and connection and so forth, birthing something new. So it could be literally, for some of you, starting a family and doing it wisely, and the next generation, and what you can give to the next generation in terms of wisdom and so forth. For others, this is like potentially birthing a new way of living, a new societal way of doing things, something that is more idealistic than maybe what we deal with at the moment. And what the sort of question in place, what can you do? What can you bring in? A vision from the other world, a vision from something higher than what we exist in the 3D, and an oracular sense of what could be possible, but also not yet knowing what's that balance? What's that balance between what could be possible and what the world brings? It's really interesting because when I laid these out, I felt really emotional. And when I saw the Camelot card, it reminded me of a story that I heard when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Apparently that night they were playing the musical Camelot in a theatre. And there's a particular song in Camelot that talks about the glory of Camelot after the whole story has happened. And at the point when they talk about that, about not forgetting what Camelot was and what Camelot represented, there was this complete groan through the audience of that sense of loss, that loss of innocence, that loss of hope, all those things that particular assassination represented, and I'm getting quite emotional talking about it. So I feel very emotional looking at these cards. I feel like there's something for the people who come here. You're meant to help birth something very precious and something very important, a shift in our social fabric that is necessary, but you're trying to have the wisdom as well as the tenacity to do it. I feel like the wisdom of Minerva there, the wisdom of the Oracle, but the tenacity here of this character sort of moving on, traveling on in it. And there is a cost to this, because we have fairy tales, which is about letting go. I feel that some of you that are coming here, sorry, I am actually quite emotional. I feel that some of you that are coming here, there is some pain, there is something that you'll need to let go of, something almost that you sacrifice to take on what it feels like a mission, an incredibly honourable one, which is probably why I'm getting upset, because I tend to cry every time I think about honour. So, but there's something about that for you, and you have great learning about it, and you can bring it in. With Virgo, that is the material, that is being able to bring into the material world what the spiritual world is trying to manifest. It's almost like a portal, and even this depiction of Virgo sort of shows that to me. It shows the world almost having come through the portal, and also where it could go next. Virgo operates like that. It's why quite often when you have sort of planets in Virgo that are more sort of psychic, like the moon or Neptune, it tends to denote a very strong psychic ability, because it is the capacity to bring it in from the other world, to see what is coming, to bring the magic in. And we also have dragons here, which suggests to me this sort of sense of the companionship. But I feel for some of you may have to do it more alone. Like I feel like this character rather than this. I feel like it's almost like the people who come here, for some period of your life, you almost need to sort of be on a bit of a singular quest. And it doesn't mean ultimately you couldn't then return to the sacred union and the person that you're meant to be with, or that may not come later. But I feel there is a period of time where the union you have to have is with your quest and with your honor and with your wisdom. And I think you will do it, but I think there's a lot of sort of potential heartache involved in some of it, but incredible sort of zealotry for what is honourable, what is good. That's why I was getting emotional. So let's see what the advice is. Each of these cards here has some advice. So let's see what they say. So with the owl, we have, don't be imprisoned by your past. Create a brand new you. Hold that vision. So some of this separation, particularly if it was from someone that you cared about, might have held you back. It might have been a difference in vision and so forth. And it's important not to be limited by that. And also the past, if you are looking at some sort of community activism or politics or social change, not to be held by the past. You understand the past, I think, with that sort of Merlin energy, but you don't have to be held by it. So what the dragons have to suggest. Do not look for validation in others. Be uniquely you and follow your own path. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of you will start out like a voice in the wilderness, just like all prophets do, actually. But I think that, you will eventually sort of, there's something so compelling about whatever your vision is that it will actually land, it will actually work, and you will bring it to being with Virgo here, and with the right knowledge and so forth. You know how to do that. But I do feel like it's a bit lonely. Let's see what this card has to say. On your soul's journey, you need to lose yourself so you can find yourself again. Follow your dreams. Yeah, I just think there's something in your sort of day-to-day material world, your relationship world or whatever, that you need to detach from, at least for a time, because you are going on a quest. You are like Galahad looking for the Holy Grail, that kind of energy. So no pressure on you. Let's go to the tarot pot and let's ask for a little bit more information about what is this magic? What is this message that Avalon is trying to sort of bring to you now? Okay. So Avalon, first of all, wants to say that you're doing something for family, community, for things that are greater than just you or you and a loved one. You know, there is a sort of sense of that, and you will find your people. Even if you start off alone, and I think you will in this, you will find your people. So Avalon wants you to know that. So that's good. But I do think for many of you, you may separate from someone. What might be triggering this is separating from a relationship that wasn't on the same pathway as you. You could potentially circle back to them afterwards, but at this point, it looks like there's a separation. It seems to be connected to this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic separation. It could be a separation from friends. It could be leaving a workplace to go and work somewhere else where this quest is going to be more able to be realised. Could even be, if you're in politics, crossing the floor and leaving one party to go and work in the other. There's some sort of disconnect operating, but you're strong enough for it. Avalon wants you to know you're strong enough for it. And you are forced to do it because something's come to the surface. Some sort of conflict has come to the surface. Something where the ideals are not being met. So this has the classic feeling of someone who maybe followed a particular political party and felt, they were the party of kindness, for instance, and then suddenly they find out there's all this corruption under it. So they have to leave that to then set out and start a different pathway that is more honourable, because you're very honourable and that's a lot of your strength. But you found out something, or you're about to find out something that sets you on this pathway. And so I think Spirit, and Avalon just want you to know that you will find your people, and you are doing it for the right reasons, and you are strong enough. So let's see what magic you have or Avalon might be sending you to help you in what I think is a quest. This is definitely a reading about a quest. But I feel like a social quest. I feel like it's got to do with social, political, something like that, at whatever level this is. It could just be within an organisation, leaving one team to work in another one where you can maybe affect a better work culture or something. Okay, let's see the magic. Okay. You're a bit of a truth teller. Yeah, you are finding the things that are hidden, the things that appear nice on the surface but aren't nice in actual fact, the difference between what was supposedly idealized and what's actually occurred, so that maybe you can course correct back to being more like what the ideal is. But you are seeing what isn't working, what shouldn't continue, and you're stronger than what shouldn't continue, which is important. You have a capacity to deconstruct when it's necessary. You can detach emotionally when you have to. You can detach in terms of resources when you have to. You can see what is impermanent, and you can make decisions. So some of your magic is very, very material. It's very practical, but it's also able to connect into telepathically, I think, other people, the energy around, and dispel some of the discontent. You're literally someone who could go into a conflict, like in a workplace, for instance, or, you go into a conference room and everybody's fighting, and you would pick up almost instantly what was going on and be able to dispel that, to be able to cut through to what the core thing is, take away the garbage almost from the discussion, and relieve that sort of energy and help decisions to be made, and therefore things to be completed and brought into being. Avalon is trying to send you your magic to be the quest person, but in some senses the mediator, the peacemaker in whatever this is, who can then help others make the decisions that are necessary, and to sort of bring something to completion, to bring the sort of Avalon sort of thing into being, to bring the Camelot ideal into being, and to take away that which is not, that is fake, because there's something fake in your environment, I think. Okay, so let's see what else we have to help you. So we're going to start with some Celtic magic and advice, spiritual advice, because that connects very much with the Arthurian legends. So firstly we have sacred waters, deep healing emotions, pilgrimage. So you will, I think that the Celtic energy here and the Arthurian energy will help you heal from whatever this is. I do think that you're letting go of some people, some situations, some loves, whatever it is. But there will be a part of your pilgrimage will be healing. This is taking you to something better. And as I say, for some, if it's taking you away from someone, I think it eventually brings you back. Because I don't think if you're being taken away rather than choosing to leave something that isn't working, but you're being taken away to be on the quest. It's like you return. So it just depends on what bit resonates there. Then we have standing stones, ancestors, gateways, sacred. So yeah, this is about community. This is about ancestry. This is about other people, groups of people. What is sacred? Getting back to the sacred rather than the profane. It's very profound energy in this reading. And then we have blue, depressed, isolated, help. So when you are feeling isolated, and you may at first, help will be there. Don't let yourself sink into depression. Go to the sacred waters. In fact, water will help you. Water energy will wash away some of that. It's important to sort of remember that and reconnect in with your healing energy. You can naturally heal yourself. Okay, let's see if we can get some divine animals to also support you in this quest, pile 2. Jaguar, release. Yeah, you can release your own pain and release connections if you have to move on, if you have to keep moving forward. You can also release that which isn't working. This is why you're the right person for this. And we have Jackal, truth. Yeah, because you tell the truth. And because your vision is truthful, it's honorable. As I say, you're the truth teller, you're the person who understands what's really going on, and the person who can bring people to better decision making, take away all the sort of hysteria around things. Could be a journalist too, that could be part of it. Looking at things like social and community issues, which can be a bit isolating at times, I think. Okay, so let's also have a look at what Dragon Butterflies from the Enchanted Blossoms deck can bring you in terms of magical support. Tranquility. Well, that's nice. So the more that you accept this is your journey, the more that you accept that you're on the right path and that you are the person for it. You have the capacity to release that which isn't working. You have the truth. Then you can actually be tranquil in your journey rather than getting into this depressed cycle. And prosperity. So you'll do well out of this. You'll probably become a leader yourself, a leader of whatever is new. So there is actually sort of a payout for you on that level. I don't think that matters to you that much, but it is still coming through, and that's part of being able to sustain it, probably, being able to sustain a sort of more honourable way of being. Okay, so to finish off, I want to look at some magical abilities and so forth that can help you in your quest, because as I say, this definitely is a quest. So we're going to start with divination, a couple of cards around divinatory sort of abilities that you could have. Then we're going to look at sort of light and shadow magic energy, and then finish off with what kind of magic sort of ritual or practice could help you. So firstly, divinatory abilities. Shagai, fragmented. So this is reading the bones of the past and finding out, the history of things. So this is you, I think, being able to divine in what is the structure. I mean, like, it's a skeleton in a way. What is the structure that would have been the honourable thing, and how has it actually decayed or fallen apart? Looking into that kind of the difference between the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Coins, the sort of the emotional side of the sort of community group or whatever it is, the sort of like the physical side as well too. It's looking in that, it's seeing in the bones of the past what the future could be and what it maybe was meant to be. And then dictionary, communication, your capacity to communicate. So once so this is you being able to come in and read a room, read what's going on, say the right thing, pour oil on troubled waters, all of those sort of things. You have a natural, it's probably telepathic ability to connect in. Also, when I see dictionary, when I'm thinking about divination, I think of things like gematria. You might be interested in that, which is a sort of number-based divination from the Bible. There's also people that use a divinatory practice where they pick up a book and they just flip the pages and they open it and they read a sentence as a kind of a sign. So that might be helpful for you too. Okay, so we're going to look also at light or shadow elements around magic for you. This is interesting. This came up for another reading. Flash over, it's all in your head. I think when you're feeling depressed or you're feeling lost or you're feeling overwhelmed with the amount of like telepathic stuff that's coming in from a rather fragmented environment that you're in, remember that's all in your head. Remember you have the quest. Remember you have the capacity to release that energy, and you have the truth. So people may try to tell you it's all in your head. If you are trying to truth tell in a less than honorable environment, people might try and say you're paranoid or it's a conspiracy theory or whatever. Don't let that get into you. You are on the right track. And resilience. This is really weird. I think both of those cards might have come up in another reading. Like both of them might have, I think. And I've shuffled a lot in between, so there could be some similarity. There could be some connections between this. But burn away the past, again, very much fits with this as well too. You have the capacity to burn that all out. You're not going to carry it with you. You know you have a vision of where you're going and the direction you're going in. So to close out the reading, I'm just going to take a card from the Magic and Mediums deck, which will show things like sort of rituals, practice, abilities or whatever that may kind of bring it all together for you in accessing the wisdom of Avalon. Sacred Heart. Well, there you are. This is why I got so emotional at the beginning, I think. There's just a really strong energy with you guys. There's like, there is something about the Sacred Heart. I'm getting that some of you are probably very connected to Yeshua. But really any cultural, spiritual thing where they're the core of the sacred, the core of the heart, the Shekinah connected to Jewish mysticism, all of that kind of thing, the divine feminine, whatever you want to call it, Mother Mary, any of those, there's that kind of energy around you and bringing it all together. And it is your purity of spirit that is the thing that's going to win out here. You have all the strength, the truth and everything, but it's the purity of spirit. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So we have 3 cards here from the Mists of Avalon, it's sort of the sister deck, which is the Wisdom of Avalon cards here as well, which is interesting because we have Serpent twice, which is very interesting given the nature of these cards, I think. And we have some astrology and some fae energy and some witch energy. And for you, the latter is absolutely on point. This group is the witchy group. And I mean that in the broadest sense, like whatever your particular spiritual practice is, whatever that is, you are meant to be the alchemist, creating your new reality, bringing in your sense of justice. Potentially with Serpent coming up twice, many of you may be very creative. This might be around creating, in terms of singing or dancing or art or something like that, because she watches over that sort of thing, but really creating anything in particular and understanding your own power, because we start almost with the energy over here, which is understanding firstly with the square that there is some action that's going to be required, some energy that needs to be balanced or worked through, because a square is like that in the chart. It is actually a dynamic force, so it calls to action, but it is also, there's a kind of a sort of an opposition. It's not opposition in terms of an opposition of planets, but there's a sort of a kind of pushing against each other at the energy of it. So there is something coming in that is meant to call you to action. And this could be creatively, it could be spiritually, it could be anything really. It depends on how you use your particular magic, but your magic is considerable, because then we move to a sort of sense about gathering your power. With the Lady of the Lake, she with the Sword of Excalibur is about having that sense of justice, having that sense of what is the direction, sorting that out, understanding whatever this challenge is and sorting it out. And then with retreating within a bit with solace to return to nature energy happening there, really connected to the earth. You guys are really connected to the earth, really connected to nature. A lot of your magical ability is probably connected to those sorts of things. And then the alchemist, you may literally be an alchemist. The alchemist was the sort of forebears of chemistry. So again, very connected to the earth, connected to the material world, how magic connects with that, and the spiritual transformation, the birth of the Excalibur sword really coming through the alchemical process. That then leads into you understanding what you want to create with Serpent, because Serpent with her cauldron was able to create. That's the force. So there's something about creativity for you, something about inspiration, something about transforming yourself, rebirth potentially, bringing back a talent, whatever it might be. But with that coming up twice, that's a very strong call to you to start to think what you want to create. Then we have another witch here, and we have Nimue. And Nimue is very interesting because she, in fact, was a pupil of Merlin, and he eventually was so besotted with her that kind of he almost overtook her life. So she actually used her magic to kind of trap him in a tree. So she, in some ways, was more powerful than Merlin. So that is an interesting thing, partly because of the fact that he was besotted with her. So it's possible that you may have people around you who follow you. So I think for some of you, with this creativity and with that, you may be in performing arts or something like that and be very, very charismatic, very, very attractive, have a huge amount of power over the interests of others, like bringing people in, drawing them in and so forth. And part of that is because you're exciting with the wild hunt. Once you know what you want to create, you're exciting, you get into it, you do it with passion, and you are a natural initiator with Cardinal. So this is a call to you finding your creativity, finding your message, finding what is unique to you, finding your charisma. And it is being called in by something, maybe even opposition to it. It could be, for some of you, it may be that you're around people who are very competitive, or you could be in a workplace you don't like and you really want to get out and you want to work out how to do that. This is all being done to remind you of how powerful you are on that kind of witch creativity, manifestation sort of level. Very, very strong divine feminine with this. It's pretty much all feminine energy looking at. Doesn't mean you have to be a woman, but there's something about that creativity, the sort of new and all of that sort of thing that's important around this. So let's see what Tarot has to say, a little bit more detail about what it is that the Wisdom of Avalon is trying to bring to you, which I think is recognition of self and your creativity and reawakening of that. But let's see what else through Tarot we can find. Oh, there you are. My goodness, that's like four major arcana and then one court card. Wow, there's a lot. You are. You are Nimue, you are Ceridwen, you are these things. Actually, I just remembered. Before I go on to that, I need to read you what the messages are for these cards, and then we will go into what that tarot is saying. So this card is saying, be attuned to the rhythm and cycles of your life and notice the shifts and changes. Peace comes from the sacred union of nature and spirit. Yes, you coming to know who you really are. Seeing that these difficult sort of issues are triggering you to become who you are. With this we have, it is easy to love and accept the light side of yourself. It takes courage to acknowledge and love the darker side. So you need to come to terms with your own power and that you can create for good or ill. And it's interesting now that was there because we have the High Priestess and the Devil card here. So I'll get to that. I do think that many of you, this will be in a creative field where there are temptations. So I think that might be something that Avalon's trying to talk about. And then Ceridwen again is saying, reawaken your intuition, allow your emotions to ebb and flow like the cycle of nature's seasons. So yes, connecting in with your High Priestess, with your creativity, that sort of flow of intuition. So sorry, I forgot to do that and we needed to do that. But as I say, Tarot wanted to talk, I think. That's why I forgot and went straight into Tarot. So we have very powerful energy here. This is a fortunate thing for you, even if it has been triggered by some sort of argument or difficulty or conflict. It is fortunate. It is going to bring material things in. You are going to make a material difference to your life with the Page of Coins. And Avalon is definitely saying plan around that. Plan around what you want materially. This is the alchemical process. What do you want at the end? Alchemy theoretically turns base metals into gold. That is a spiritual allegory, but for you it is also an allegory for being able to create something that is materially good for you and has a lot of room for extra growth. This is a good time for this. You are with the Wheel of Fortune. You are coming into who you are and your power and your understanding of your abilities. But you are having to deal with light and dark. You have the strength to do it, but you are dealing with that. And it is about, the wild hunt, you can get too passionate about something with the wild hunt, so sometimes you need to sort of like rest. You need to keep that sense of the Lady of the Lake with what is just, what is the Ace of Swords telling you. This is the thing where you are so talented, so charismatic, those sort of energies, so magical, that you have the possibility of really reaping great rewards, being really well known, all of that kind of thing. But you are also going to have to battle with where you could get trapped or obsessed by that. Also, some of you are going to have people that are obsessed with you. Like, this is definitely a group that is likely to have performers and people in the public eye in some way, with the devil card there and with Nimue. So Nimue had to find the boundaries with Merlin, but remember, Nimue was able to do it. Remember, you have that ability. Okay, so that's pretty full on. So let's see what magic within you and or that Avalon is sending you, so that you can really manifest this creativity and this potential in the most sort of positive way. Okay. So you definitely have some deep knowing with the Hierophant. You know, like, this is, you're not sort of someone who's sort of just, you know, read a bit about sort of Wicca and thought, now I'm a witch or something. You have deep knowledge, deep knowing, and I think from past lives as well too, and an understanding of the different powers that be as well around spiritual and other matters. You know how to deal with industries, actually. So if you are a performer or a writer or something like that, you know how to deal with that industry. That's part of your magic. Your magic can be actually brought into being. This is why we also had the Page of Coins there. So that's part of it. But deeply psychic with the moon, deeply precognitive with the moon, incredibly empathic, and able to express that and bring a great deal of joy to people. This is why, again, I feel like this is like performers or creators or something. You're meant to do something like this. And Avalon is bringing some of this energy through to remind you of who you are and what you can do. Because the only thing at the moment that is standing in your way is making the decision to do it. This is why we've got the square. The square could be yourself trying to rein yourself in. Maybe there's a side of you that thinks, if I do that and I get too well known, I'm going to have to deal with all the sort of obsessives, or if I do that, will I lean over into the darkness? Do I have to sort of rein myself in? And like with the Wild Hunt, you're not meant to rein yourself in, but you're just meant to understand to watch out for those things. So it may be you that is not wanting to decide, or it may be that this catalyst needs to come, and that Avalon is sending that energy to create the catalyst to make you make the decision to live into this side of who you are and to believe in that, believe what you can do. Okay, so let's see if we can get some Celtic wisdom for you, given the sort of importance of Celtic mythology around the Arthurian mythology. Divination. Guides, Ogham Street. Yeah, you're witchy, like, and I mean that in the broadest sense. You know, you definitely have those sorts of abilities. You know, you have divination skills. There's no doubt about it. High Priestess. Okay. The pentagram, protection, balance, and unity. So yeah, you are protected. And again, it's a very witchy sort of feeling. You have that kind of sense of protection. You can deal with this. You can be, if necessary, in the belly of the beast or in an industry that has a lot of kind of darkness and shadows, and still retain the integrity of who you are and the power of who you are. And the hair, otherworld, shape-shifting, fertility. It's interesting. I think of the hair also, you know, like the white rabbit or whatever they talk about sort of in sort of Alice in Wonderland or any of those sort of things, the sense of being able to shift between the realms, go into the numinous, go into the liminal and so forth, and to some degree follow the white rabbit, like understand what you're seeing, understand the environment that you're in and all of that kind of thing as well, and be able to sort of move with it, move with ease and so forth. So there's a lot of magical energy around you to protect you. Let's see what divine animals are around to protect you. Honeybee, reciprocity. Okay, so there will be, I think it's partly reciprocity between the sort of like magical world and you. There's sort of like this sense of sort of abundance and sort of the natural flow of life and all that kind of thing. I think also that you will find the right people. People will want to connect with you. And again, Nimue was taught by Merlin. some of you I'm getting are going to be on a journey, apart from whatever you might do creatively, which I think is significant, but some of you will literally be on a spiritual journey. What is going to happen at some point in this is that at first you will learn a lot from somebody who teaches you. After that, you are going to move beyond them. It's going to be that point where the servant becomes the master sort of thing, or the student becomes the master. So there's an energy like that. And balancing that rather than ending up where Nimue ended up, so to speak, will be important. And the honeybee will help you with that. And then we also have horse, freedom. Yeah, the freedom to be who you are, the freedom to move forward, the freedom to be the cardinal catalyst of all of this, to not feel that you have to censor yourself or hold yourself back. Also wanted to get from the Enchanted Blossoms deck, which has dragon butterflies, some other sort of magical energy around you that will support you becoming this creative and magical being that you're meant to become. So we have compassion. Compassion is interesting. So I think you're going to be in an environment which is actually quite sort of tricky in many ways, and you are going to be so filled with fire and zeal and moving forward. But I like to see compassion there. I feel like that's compassion like Nimue maybe being compassionate to Merlin. There's a sense of not getting over your skis with the power and the energy that you have. That's a really lovely energy to be with you. And tranquility, yeah, which comes from the compassion, which comes when you realize that you can handle all these things and remain kind. And I think that you are a kind person. But when you start to burgeon this sort of power and creativity, it is a challenge. It is a challenge to still stay in that space, but it looks as though you will be able to. Okay, so we already saw divination, but I want to finish off with 3 different decks that have different magical information. So divination to start with, then the light and shadow around the magic within you, and then we use the Magic and Mediums Oracle to look at some sort of ritual or practice or approach that could help. So firstly, let's get a little bit more on divination for you. Handwriting. Authenticity. I mean, firstly, authenticity says that you're the real deal in all of this, which is pretty much clear from day one with this particular reading. But also, yeah, reading, handwriting, looking at that kind of thing, you may find that automatic writing might be something that works for you. And Oracle. Yeah, you're meant to be the Oracle. I think that was the witch card that you had. Oh, no, Alchemist. But nevertheless, very, very sort of powerful oracular ability as well too, which would fit with alchemy, would fit with the sort of witchy energy. So there's definitely sort of like the capacity to see what's coming and so forth. Now let's see what your light and shadow potential magic energy is. Because this is one of the things for you. You are going to have to balance the light and shadow. So let's see what advice Avalon has. Solitude, alone but not lonely. Sometimes you're going to need to find time out, space out for yourself. That's important because I do think you're going to have the spotlight on you a lot. And Fergan, become a loving mirror. Okay, so this is picking up the compassion. This is picking up all of these sorts of things. You're going to both be able to use that to hopefully show the compassion and to deal with those who might get obsessed or follow you, but you will probably also find that one of your things around your charisma is that you become a mirror to people. People will associate with you. People will kind of identify with you. An example of this, I feel that Princess Diana is a really good example of this. I think that people really started to identify with her deeply because of her charisma, because of the sort of love story around her. She's a very magical person in many ways. And I think that the people identified so strongly that when she died, that sort of massive grief that hit the world, I think, was people being able to access their own grief, mirror into their own grief for that. It was almost like she operated on a cathartic level for the world, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's something about that in you. So let's finish off with a card from the Magic and Mediums deck to just see what else might help you in terms of either practice or approach. Learn. So that's interesting because you're all over this in terms of natural ability, but we did have Nimue at the beginning who learnt from Merlin. So I think this is saying 2 things. One is that part of your journey towards your creative potential, what you can bring into the world, is learning. You have things to learn, probably remember from past lives more than anything else, but nevertheless things to learn. And this is also picking up some of this reciprocity, finding the right teachers. Having done that, I think there is also the reciprocity of helping others learn once you've reached that point, and it's a way to balance it out. And there could be also learning skills and so forth, learning the industry that you're in with the Hierophant and so forth around creative energies as well. But I do think there's an enormous potential here for you. I hope that you enjoyed the reading pile 3. If so, please like the video and subscribe. And if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome pile 4 to your reading. So these are the 3 cards from the Mists of Avalon deck, then the sort of sister deck, the Wisdom of Avalon as well. Then we have some Fae energy, we have astrology, we have some other spiritual and witchy sort of energy around it as well. So this is very clearly what the Wisdom of Avalon, what the Magic of Avalon wants to talk to you about is your capacity to completely change your fate, completely change the trajectory that you are on. For many, it may be about leaving a relationship or changing how you relate, because we have the descendant here, which is the 7th house axis, which is all about relationships. So for some of you, this might be leaving a relationship, leaving past relationships behind, leaving patterns behind. For others, it may be changing something fundamental about where you live, where you work, who you want to be in the world, whatever it might be, and how you communicate who you are and how you use your gifts in a different way. With the 3rd house, which is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury sort of brings gifts, and then we have the gift energy here as well too. It is taking the initiative to do the change and being protected with the guardian. There's something quite protective about you. I think you protect others, and I think you will continue to do that. You have a bit of a guardian role over others, but this is all about change. Morgan Le Fay, one of her major magical abilities was that she could literally change what her supposed destiny was. So it's very interesting when you do work in divination about trying to work out the difference between what we might call fate and what we call sort of free will and choice and so forth. And the way I see it, and this is just my view of it, I'm not saying I'm necessarily right, but the way I see it is that for the most part, there are certain things that we are fated to experience. There's probably not many in any given life, but there are certain people we're going to meet because we are meant to meet them. There are certain stages in our life we're meant to go through, or certain lessons that we go through. There are certain limitations that we will have, and there are certain blessings that we will have. And your astrology chart will often tell you a lot about all of those things. But within that, there is a massive amount of free will. So there is always that capacity to make choices, and what that may do is delay certain things that were otherwise going to happen. But every once in a while there's fixed points in time or fixed things that do occur, and it's true of all of us. We all have a destiny to some extent, and some have it on the world stage and some have it in sort of their personal and private relationships. But I feel like there's a kind of a dance between the two. The thing about Morgan Le Fay is that the energy of this card is, even if it felt like something was a fixed point, there is the capacity to change that. Your magic is such that you can say, you know what, I can see that my trajectory at the moment is going towards this particular direction. That is not going to be for my highest good. It's not going to be for the highest good of others. I'm going to change it. And so then you go on the journey to the Isle of Avalon, which is the other world connection, the place where you can shift, like shifting timelines. Like you could probably shift timelines actually. So that kind of thing, to renew. That is where Arthur went to be healed and so forth. So there is a sense of something needs to be healed. You are on a pathway, you were developing towards something, and something potentially around relationships has not worked. As I say, it could be love relationships, work, collaborators, it could be anything, spiritual groups that you were with, but something you have seen that you need to travel to the Isle of Avalon to shift your fate, and with the white spring to find the new, to find the refreshed, to find that which you can move forward with, so that then you can communicate more with the world with your gifts, and you can take the initiative to be who you were always meant to be. With Merlin here, there's a lot of wisdom around what you do. So it's a combination of the time shifting, shape shifting, and also the wisdom around it. And then this sort of sense of very strong feminine energy around you as well. But this is for people, if you've come to the right reading, where you have hit a bit of a brick wall about something, relationships, career, whatever it might be, and you know you need to fundamentally course correct. This is not minor, this is fundamental. But you actually have the ability to do that. You do not have to be hostage to fate. You can find the way around that and be just in it's a sense almost as though you can make an offering to the gods where they go, okay, all right, well, we kind of thought you have to do this, this, and this. But you know what? You're right. You can actually do it a different way, and that will be actually better. It's like you can bargain with the universe in a way that most people can't. But there's something that's triggering that. Let's see what the messages are with these 3 cards. So under Merlin, we have your life lessons will be repeated until they are learnt. Guidance is on the way. So I think you realise that. I think that message is coming up that the guidance has come. This is whether it's this reading or whether you've realised it for yourself, because Morgan Le Fay is going to shift those life lessons. So I think this is really saying already that you've done that. Then we have access your deep feminine intuition, allow new possibilities to flow. Some of you, I think, given that energy and that the sort of feeling the feminine there and even the female guardian here, some of you may have been operating in a very masculine world. And I mean that in terms of sort of energy, not necessarily gender, but some of you may have been in that, and you know that there is a better way, a more feminine way, something that is more along the lines of the divine feminine in intuition. So that may be part of what you're shifting, not being necessarily feeling like you want to be, say, in the corporate world, but want to be in a world that is about creativity, for instance. There's some energy about that for you. And then the message under this card is, allow the true love of your soul to radiate and you shall see the natural beauty around you expand. Yes, the true love of your gifts, and communicate that and radiate that and initiate that with the green man, your nature. There's something very beautiful in it. That's why the universe will bargain with you, where they won't with most people, to be frank. So you are able to do that, but you are on the journey, and part of that I think has been a bit hard won. There is a loss. There is something that you're moving away from. There is some regret with this, but on the other hand, there is something really new and beautiful coming through. So let's see with the tarot a little bit more about what Avalon wants to tell you about this, particularly as you, of all the readings, are going to Avalon, sort of metaphorically at the very least. And I'm getting, pay attention to your dreams. You might end up there literally in a dream. Okay. So tarot. Okay. I'm going to go first to the Seven of Cups. This feels exactly like the energy of what Morgan Le Fay can do there. Often with the Seven of Cups, it's sort of like there's all these sort of things. Are they a daydream? Are they real? Are they illusion? You know, and so forth. I think for you, it's like a menu. I think that you can actually envisage all the different futures and then choose one. I think that is part of your magic, and that's what Avalon wants you to know. You can have peace of mind once you've done that, but you need to work out there. You can't have them all, I think is what this is saying. Some things have to be let go. The things that were not emotionally fulfilling you, instead of just staying stuck in that, you need to let that go and make a choice. This is a choice. It really literally feels like you've come to a crossroads. And it's a crossroads that people wouldn't normally get to come to, because you do get to choose. Most people would actually not even see the other road. They'd just be directed down one pathway, but you can choose one or the other, but you can't choose both. So there is something about having the peace of mind about what is it that you truly want. Go into your heart and say, what would you want your fate to be? And it's a practical decision as well as a spiritual one. So this is why it's not just sort of a pipe dream. It's not delusion. It's not illusion. There is something about who you want to be in the world, and coming out clearly about who you want to be in the world in relation to this. And it's a choice. And you can't have both. A creative decision is required, a moving from what was an emotionally stuck situation, but a choice is required. So given that, let's see what magic you have and magic Avalon might be sending you to help you make that choice, because that's the thing. Once you've done that, you can really create the new pathway. It's going to be there for you. But then you have to follow that pathway. And you have to leave behind anything that can't be on that pathway, I think is the message here. So let's see the magic. Okay, this is firstly saying that this ability that you have is not by accident. You are naturally very psychic, very magical, and you do have the knowledge to do it. And it literally is like the knowledge. It's like, I think some of the people who've come here, you might sort of, understand quantum physics or something. There's something about understanding the matrix of the universe, and you've learnt that in some way. And you also have the sort of psychic intuition ability to do it. So your own magic is around being able to bring the intuitive and psychic into reality and build it. There's knowledge. You have knowledge to do that. And you also have an ability to bring things into balance, like to understand the choice and to be prepared to take on the choice. But Avalon is sending you some help here by saying that you will need to make this choice, and you are still a little bit reluctant to make it, but they're sending energy to make that easier and quicker than you expect it to be, and a quicker pathway then to get to the new you and the new whatever it is, new relationship, new career, new whatever it is. So Avalon is going to help you. It's going to nudge you to make this decision. After that, you have everything within your kit bag to do it. That's why you can do it. There's something very unusual about you. Okay, so let's have a look at some Celtic wisdom and magic that can help you. Gwyneth, the mother, nurture, present. That picks up the sort of guardian energy here. I think that, you will have somebody around you, whether it's a spirit guide or whether it's an actual person, who is actually very nurturing for you, who will help you go through whatever the pain of the separation is. And keep, even though you're looking and moving towards the future, sort of ground things in the present as well. And we have the maiden, innocence, love, past. This is you letting go of the past, I think. Letting go of the innocence. There is a kind of, if you are going to be this powerful to shift your life purpose, then you have to give up a bit of innocence. You have to understand how much you become your own creation. And shaman spiral, awareness, practice, connection. So maybe some of the learning you have is around things like shamanism and connecting to the ancients and so forth, and how that may create and heal, bring the healing energy in. Okay, let's get you some animal totems to also help you on this journey to Avalon. Lioness, protection again. There's a lot of protection around you. I think there's a very, very strong guide around you, probably feminine, I would say. Doesn't have to be, but probably feminine. And dolphin, happiness. Yeah, this will make you happy. There is a kind of unhappiness and a letting go at first, I have to say, but once you've moved through it, it will make you happier. Let's also get some support from the Enchanted Blossoms deck, which has dragon butterflies. So I think a sort of beautiful, delicate but strong sort of magical energy around you. So we have wisdom. Yeah, you've got the wisdom, you've got the knowledge. You definitely have the knowledge to be able to do this. And potentially wise counsel around you from this guide. Or person, it could be a person, if you know who that is. And beginnings, yeah, new beginnings. The wisdom to know that it's time to make new beginnings, that this is the moment. Okay, so to finish off, I want to use 3 decks to bring in some other magical abilities for you. So firstly, divination sort of abilities. Then we're going to have a look at both light and shadow magic within you, and then we're going to look at sort of magical ritual or process or approach that could be helpful. So firstly, your divination skills, or areas where you could do divination to help you on this pathway. Fortune cookie, fortuitous. I mean, I think partly that's saying that this is heading into a much more fortunate thing, and you are fortunate to be able to shift your fate because it's not common. But, maybe fortune cookies are something to pay attention to if you happen to be at a restaurant where they're available. And alchemy, spells. So definitely that sort of sense of being able to create and go through the process of transformation and letting go that's necessary for alchemy, for the transformation within self. So you are transforming yourself as well as your fate. By transforming your fate, you transform yourself. Okay, so let's also look at magic, both light and shadow, what we can see around that for you going through this process. Epoch, pause in your journey. So I think this is saying that at various points you will need to pause. There is the renewal sort of sense of Avalon and thinking about the consequences of what you're doing. When you have this sort of ability, you really do need to think about, what are my choices? And in fact, I'm actually getting that's part of the magic as well here. It's another way of looking at the death card, which is a choice card, and then the Eight of Wands. I think that one of the magics that is going to be sent to you is when to pause and not decide, and when to move forward. So, but I think you've got an inner knowing around that as well too. And Epiphany, reveal your gifts. Yeah, because with the third house and the gifts, you are meant to eventually be able to come out and show what you can do. Not necessarily in your capacity to change timelines and change fate, but more generally your sort of spiritual gifts, I think, or some other sort of gift. This is part of what it is. I'm also getting for pause in your journey, it is because that's the point you're at this point. Pausing and realizing that you can be more of your master of your destiny than the average person can. Okay, so to finish off, let's see from the Magic and Mediums deck what kind of like ritual or practice or approach could be most helpful for you. Sacred space. Okay, Avalon is about as sacred a space as it can be. Same thing with the White Springs. You need to find that, I think. Whether that's, it could be your room in your house where you just get to be on your own. It could be a park that you like to go to. It could be down near a river. Whatever it is, find a sacred space where you can commune in and feel the implications of things and feel the renewal energy of Avalon. But you're an interesting group of people, Par 4, because, as I say, I do not think it's common to be able to understand and see your fate enough to be able to shift it and understand the consequences of it. But I definitely think this is what Avalon is saying you can do, and you are ready to do that. There is a renewal and a new beginning coming for you. So I hope that resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd be fascinated to hear about it. But other than that, I hope to see you in future readings.